gentlemen. Sorry for waiting time. So we will start now. We are waiting for some speaker also. They will join us. So
yeah, Aarti, good afternoon. I just spoke to General Pannu.
Yes, sir.
He's not able to open your link. That's the problem. So I sent them link. So it's asking him to sign in. He's not able to sign into Zoom account.
So I tell my technical team to contact him.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, okay.
So just start because we've already waited for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So good afternoon, gentlemen. Again, thank you for joining us today in this discussion conducted by NADDSO, National Association of Drone Developers and Space Organization. Myself, Aarti Bhatt. I'll be the host for today's evening. So today, through this webinar, we will be discussing the growing threat coming from Chinese drone capabilities in military services. Before starting, I would like to welcome you all and special welcome to our speakers, in which the Lieutenant General retired Pannu sir will join us in, I guess, in 5 minutes. But I'll welcome our another guest, Major General Love Vikram Chand sir. Also, Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal sir from Air Headquarters. Thank you, dignitaries, for joining us today in this webinar. Also, I would like to welcome our special guest that was from the Embassy of Japan, Colonel Todo Koznari. I guess he has joined us. Welcome, sir, and thank you for joining us. Also, I'm welcoming Colonel Ronaldo Gomes from the Embassy of Philippines. Also welcoming from the Embassy of Vietnam, Senior Colonel Pham Di Hun. Thank you to all of you for joining us and giving us your time to us. Now, I would like to welcome Chamber of Commerce in Slovakia, Mr. Rajesh Turani, and Czech Aviation, Mr. Prakash, welcoming also all the representatives of Indian Armed Forces and other government departments, including Defense Public Sector Unit and Public Sector Unit, respective think tanks, and industry representative. Thank you. And I welcome all the dignitaries from different bodies, but from the same sector, to all of you to joining us from today. So we are just waiting for Pannu sir, because he has a welcoming note for all of you. But I guess whenever he will join, we can connect with them. I guess he has connected. Is Pannu sir has connected yet or not?
Not yet. We will check him but I think mission of General Chand, we should start the presentation. Sir?
Yeah, Sunil, he's having some problem joining up. So we already waited for 17 minutes. We can't. All our guests are waiting. So my apologies for that there. But certainly I welcome you to this NADDSO webinar, which we are having. We're going to have it quite often. Today is a very pertinent topic because, as I see it, drones are going to be there in the entire walks of life. My special welcome to our defense attaches from our friendly countries, the industrialists, the academia, and everybody, right? So we need to look at drones in a manner which is actually an unmanned autonomous vehicle, and the space, it could be subsurface, surface, land, or even aerial, or in the altitude aerial platforms. With that, Sunil, I think you can proceed with your presentation. When General Pannu joins, he can give his opening remarks and his thoughts and share his thoughts with us. Yeah.
Right, sir. I'm starting the presentation. Good afternoon, gentlemen, and welcome to this discussion. And the basic objective of this discussion is to understand the Chinese mindset about the unmanned system in their service. And for better elaboration, I am showing a presentation. I hope all you can see the presentation on your screen.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I will.
So why this webinar is important, as we know that Chinese organized a drone expo in Shenzhen from 2nd June to 4th June. They had more than 300 exhibitors and over 1 lakh visitors and 500 overseas visitors. Though they are saying that this is a commercial drone event, but some military presence was also felt there, as most of the overseas visitors were from the armed forces. In that, they had signed more than 300 MOU for joint development and expo. Okay, so as we know, Chinese military need no introduction. They are the largest force in Asia and second largest in the world after US, but they are catching up with the US for the first position quite faster. Most importantly, they are hostile to our country, not just our country, but to other neighbors also. I think all the diplomatic friends here from the embassy of Japan, Philippines, and Vietnam would agree to my statement. So here the most important word which took my attention was MCF. MCF stands for Military Civil Fusion, which was created by CPP, Chinese Communist Party, with a strategy to make PLA, People's Liberation Army, a world power by 2049. Under MCF, they systematically recognize the Chinese science and technology enterprises to ensure all innovation would lead to advancement in military development. And the key focus is on unmanned systems. By 2030, China want to convert their military unmanned by 25%. So we should also check Chinese doctrine, which came after the recent reform in their military. They have three main things to focus on. First is the war control through information dominance. Second is combat to war space synergy. Third is target-centric warfare to achieve their battle objectives. Coming back to the topic of unmanned systems, we know that Chinese fleet is so big. So in a systematical order, we have classified them in 9 segments. First is fixed wing drone. They have more than 72 variants. VTOL fixed wing drone, they have 11 variants. Unmanned helicopter, they have 23 variants. Multi-rotor drone, they have 6 variants. Then in the next segment, they have 5 drones. Small UAV, they have more than 30 type of drones. They have 20 type of loitering munitions, 71 type of target drones, and 7 type of military target missiles. So we can see that they have more than 200 types of drones in their service. Now coming to Chinese drone industry, it is classified into 2 types. First is the military drone and second is the commercial drone, but both are interlinked. So there is no separation in between. In military drone, they have 6 companies which are dominating the arena of military drone. And to my surprise, DJI, which is a commercial drone company in China, with which is dominating all over the world with 70% of market share, is also a military drone company. Last year, I was arguing with few of my friends that the founder of this company, Frank Hung, has PLA's backing for his marketing and everything. So overall, it is also a military drone company. After these companies, they have 31 R&D labs in China. But the backbone of their drone industry is 300 component supplier, which is making the ecosystem more effective and actionable. So now commercial drone manufacturer, there are 21 prominent company. Overall, they have more than 300 companies and 150,000 manpower engaged in commercial drone manufacturing in China, specifically in Shenzhen city. So Chinese military is having 5-year plan. Recently, they had the Congress meeting, and in that also they mentioned plan from 2022 to 2027, and they will move in 2 directions. One, high-end UAV in service with number 1000 by 2027, and second is low-end UAV in their service with number 20,000 with the ratio of 1 to 20. Gentlemen, the Chinese fleet is so huge. In this small webinar, we cannot discuss everything. So I choose 3 particular series. The CH series, which is manufactured by China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation. Second is Wing Loom series, which is manufactured by Chengdu Aircraft Corporation. And third is WZ series, which is being manufactured by Aviation Industry Corporation, AVIC. starting with the first aircraft in their service is Winglong 1, which is a medium altitude long endurance aircraft UAV powered by a piston engine, which is equivalent to US MQ-1 Predator. Number of manufactured is still classified because we have no record how many they have produced and how many they have exported. And it is going to be in service with 12 countries, including Pakistan. Second is Winglong 2. It is also a medium altitude long endurance UAV powered by a turboprop engine. It is having an equivalent MQ-9 Reaper from US. Number of manufactured classified, but most importantly, the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex has signed MOU with Chengdu Aircraft Corporation to manufacture or assemble it in Pakistan also. So it is going to be in service with 7 countries, including Pakistan. Now, WZ-10, it is a high altitude long endurance aircraft powered with turbofan. Sorry for my mistake, it is written turboprop. It is actually turbofan engine and equivalent to MQ-20 Avenger. Numbered manufactured is not being revealed by them, but it will be in use with 7 countries, including our neighbor Pakistan. Now, WZ-7 Shoring Dragon, which was in limelight in last few days, people are saying that it is equal to Global Hawk, RQ-20, but still some difference is there, particularly in the range and endurance. Number classified, but they will be supplying it to some friendly countries.
Sunil, I'm sorry. I think there is some repeat of your voice.
I checked.
May I request everybody else to please mute yourself? Simran, you two could mute, please.
So now can you hear me, sir? There is no voice again.
It's okay now. Okay now.
Sir, second is AVIC's WZ-8. It is a hypersonic recon UAV, which will be launched from another aircraft. There is no machine parallel to this aircraft in the world as of now, but it is based on Lockheed's D1 program, which was started in 1964. And they are planning at least 10 aircraft in People's Liberation Army Air Force service. The next is CH-6. It is from CASC Rainbow series. It is powered by two turbofan engines. It is in the HALE segment, high altitude long endurance, and it is multi-role. It can do the recon missions along with the combat mission. The last in the league is CH-7. It's a stealth UCAV, unmanned combat aerial vehicle, which is parallel to Northrop Grumman's X-47B. And initially, the PLF is intend to use it for the close air support. The key takeaway from this small presentation is to mention the size and strength of Chinese drone industry, and it is well-designed ecosystem for the industry there. Third is the faster process of R&D in China through two upcoming technologies called MBD, model-based definitions, and adaptive design technology. Both MBD and ADT had helped them to reduce the R&D time frame by 50%. Fourth is faster production rate using 3D printing, which has increased the production rate by 3 times. Most importantly, faster process of testing, trial, and certifications of machine. So overall, they have shortened the timeline from first flight of the aircraft to its service induction. Gentlemen, and another thing I want to mention, Chinese don't go behind quality and perfection in their machine. They first induct their aircrafts, and then with the time they improve the quality of the machines. This is most important thing. First they build the quantity and then they go for the quality. So they have a huge number of machines in their service. I would also like to mention why China is going to unmanned system from manned system. China is planning to come out of the league of losing men in the battlefield, because they cannot afford to do that. China is called the prince and princess state, because they have adopted one child policy, and that child cannot afford to lose him or her in the battlefield. But they can afford to lose machines in the battlefield because they have the production rate so high that they can replace them. So this was the Chinese doctrine when they were planning to convert from manned system to unmanned system. And what I can see in future, with this capability, they will go for offensive. They will not be a defensive or a regional force, and they have planned to dominate the world through their military power. So the threat is looking small as if now, but it will get bigger every day. Every passing day, the Chinese threat will be bigger with their unmanned system. So this was the reason we planned this webinar, and I hope you all are finding this webinar useful and eye-opening for everybody. So here I'll submit my report, and I wish that everybody has found this report valuable. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Sunil sir. As already mentioned by him, a lot of things. So we all know that drones have changed the warfare and now an integral part of military operations worldwide. But today we will be discussing, especially as Sunil sir has mentioned, that we are discussing especially about the Chinese drone industry, how it has changed in the last couple of years. And with the rise of Chinese drone industry, we must address the potential challenges and risks it has. Not in our country, but all other countries also. So right now, PGS Pannu sir has already joined us. So I will welcome him first. And sir, I just wanted you to kindly give your address our guest first, because we are waiting for you. So please, sir.
Okay, thank you, Aarti. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sorry, there was some technical glitch, as is expected when you are overly relying on technology. But having said that, thank you, Sunil, for giving a presentation, I think, which is not only a warning to us, but I think it is a great lesson learning from how the local industry of the Chinese, from either it is reverse engineered or it is homegrown, they have built their skills, they have built their industry and the ecosystem where they can produce autonomous systems. They've invested a huge amount into the artificial intelligence as also into quantum computing to understand how they can not only operate autonomously, but also secure the communications and their automated process. I'm very glad that NADDSO has organized this international event on the drones. Also, with NADDSO, which is National Drone Developers and Space Organization initiative, to make sure that the Prime Minister's mission on Atmanirbharta, where India's drone manufacturing capability has to become indigenous. Today, whatever procurement is happening in India, there is a lot of concern that the supply chain has to be clean, dependable. It has to have integrity. And therefore, in this supply chain of dependency, has to be extremely, extremely careful. So even if there are international players coming into it, because NADDSO's basic mission is to make sure that as part of the aerospace industry, indigenous drones come up where largely it is designed and manufactured in India. But before that, we have to also look at how our R&D is coming up. And therefore, the Center of Excellence is a project which NADDSO is looking at. Also looking at facilities for testing and standardization. I think number of places have been seen, shortlisted, and being worked at, where all the drone manufacturers can come together and test their drones and also have them certified. So these are the things which are happening. Number of departments of the government have also joined in. And also the industry is there, and I'm very happy that Toby from Synergia is also here, which brings in a lot of collaboration of niche technologies. The number of drone companies are here, and we will benefit from the discussion today and then come out with a report on the threat. I would not call it Chinese threat, but any country is going to face threat of drones in warfare. Warfare is only one part of it, but largely it being dual use. we must make sure this entire ecosystem is built on indigenous trusted supply chains. So therefore, drones are going to be produced because they are going to be required and demanded in huge numbers. I think we can't even total up the total zeros that you can put in any currency. That is the kind of the market in drones. So I think what we are doing today is just the beginning for a very large enterprise which has a future in this industry and in this domain. Look forward to hearing views of everybody. Thank you, Aarti. And I think in conclusion, we would then, bring in all stakeholders' thought processes together and put it in our report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to invite Major General Lav Vikram Chand sir for his insight on this topic. So please, sir.
Can somebody share my screen? Just enable this screen sharing.
Yeah.
The host, yeah, please. Yeah, can you see it?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah, now? No, I think I'm having some problem. Just a minute, just give me a minute. No, I have not been enabled. I mean, host will have to enable it. Or can the host send the PPT?
Yeah, it's come up.
Yeah, now we can see it.
Yeah, can you just do a full screen? So I think this is the host controlling it. So that's okay, fine. Okay, while they're doing a full screen, yeah, you can go to view and full screen. Okay, while the host is doing the full screen, Sunil gave a very detailed presentation, a very well-researched presentation on what is the capability of China. And then General Pannu gave a very detailed, brief insight, I mean, very elaborative, but insight into the strategy of NADDSO. What I'm doing is I'm actually looking at the certain technical issues of security implications of unmanned autonomous vehicle. And I've purposely written unmanned autonomous vehicle because I see that it is worthwhile to actually invest. There are many commonalities which are there in the autonomous or unmanned systems. The only difference is what is the traction involved, whether it is the subsurface or a propeller or a traction or the various aerial jets and so on and so forth, and also the power source. So that is how I'll focus it on. And I will also say that, while China is progressing, India is doing it, needs to do a lot of catching up, not because of, not only because of the security threat in the tactical battle area or the strategic domain, but also because of the way drones are going to be a part of our daily lives. When I say drones, I'm actually looking at the robotics and AI, smart drones. So just for the sake, when I say drones, I'm actually covering the entire spectrum of robotics, unmanned vehicles. So these are going to be part of everybody's daily life, just like the laptops and computers and the tabs have become. With that, next slide, please. Can you just go to the next slide? Yeah, just the next slide.
Sunil, I think you have to click on enable editing first, and then you can go click on the 5th icon on the top left.
Then you'll have to do it. Aarti, you'll have to do it. Aarti or Simran, you'll have to do it.
So we are viewing actually Sunil's screen actually.
Yeah, okay. Now I can see it. Okay. So just to give a brief introduction, I already covered that UAV is not confined to aerial space. they have a vast role, and actually anything you can think of, whether it is surveillance, logistics, elevated communication nodes, loitering ammunition, weaponized role, and so on. The list becomes endless. Actually, the role is D4C, that is anything which is dull, dangerous, dirty, and difficult, and above all, continuous, because drones will never get tired, and you can always recycle, have a system of recycling or replacing a drone which is performing a task. And also the most important is any of the robotic system which has got AI has to be reliable, robust, and omnipresent. When I say omnipresent is, I'm primarily referring to the communication or the ICT infrastructure, which has to be omnipresent in the entire area of operations. In this part, because of the, we want to have many discussions also there, I'll be restricting to only a tactical battle scenario. Next slide, please. Next. Okay. So firstly, I'm looking at sustainability. When I say sustainability, I'm also looking at the, production, R&D, and also the manufacturing base. Today, in the manufacturing base, as you see, the good old days of about 10, 15 years back, 20 years back, there was more of hardware in any of the system and less of software. But today, it is the role is reversed. There is more of almost about a ratio of 70 to 30% of software vis-a-vis hardware, which is content which is coming up. India has a very skilled set as far as the software and programmers are concerned. Next, we have to look at is R&D versus production. This I've specifically said that there are, there are many companies which do, which specialize in doing the research and development. And after a prototype is made, with quality control and the product specification, the production is handed outsourced, which is actually a good model if you want to meet the scales. Sorry. Now, also it comes up here is the verification of imported modules. Like I said, every module will have a certain amount of embedded software, which is through APIs and all, you can control it, whether it is the flight controller or the engines or whatever. And also the how do we do a vulnerability management? There will always be bugs which will be coming up and some vulnerabilities which will be discovered, especially when you're looking at the drones in the entire ecosystem of ICT. And most important is, once you have done this, how are you going to do a version control? Now, these are important things because as and when the software component comes, the improvements are actually going to be in terms of the software definition of the role or the task. So how do you manage this? This is something which we have to be looking at. Sorry. Sorry for my bad throat, actually. Okay, the next comes is cost of IPRs. Most of the industries spend so much of money in the R&D. And when I say R&D, it is not only the drones or the robotic role, but also the communication system, the control systems, the navigation systems, which are all there, and so much of work has been there. The cost of IPR or transfer of technologies can be pretty high, and many times you may not get it. And even if you get a version of an IPR, what about the next upgrades which are going to come up, a version change which will come up? For that, you're going to pay. So actually, this has to be an ongoing process of taking an IPR, either jointly developing it or taking an IPR rights, and also rights to any further advancements which are taking place in that. Now, this is an important issue which needs to be looked at, because today it is not, doesn't make good business sense to start developing IPRs for certain things which are already available. Next comes to the indigenization. I'm referring to the the box towards the left. When I look at indigenization, actually, India has got a positive indigenization list. Now I say, is it reliable? Just go back, please. I say, is it reliable primarily with a question mark, because when India still needs to develop its IC, the integrated chip or wafers there. Just go back, please. Yeah, just go back, please, on the sustainability. Yeah. No, next one. Yeah. So why is it reliable is that, when you don't have a good production base, then how do you meet the IC content? IC is, for people who are not aware of, is the indigenous content. So I take it that, since there's a lot of dependence on importing of modules from reliable, trusted supply chain, we need to have a look at this positive indigenization list, and the way we are going to be looking at the IC content. Now you say 50% plus becomes there. I always quote an example. Now, this is my thought. I mean, we are working towards this. I always think that when you look at a laptop manufactured in India, and it is treated as, whether you take HP or something like that, it's treated to be Indian. But if you look at it, 70% of that is import content, primarily because of the motherboard, the processors, and even the DMA controllers and the graphic control, they're all imported. So something like this, we have to do it, have a relook at it. Now, when you look at US platform versus application, I'm now looking at, we have to see that how we can, instead of just focusing on a unmanned platform, but we have to look at it along with the application the task is going to perform. On the right side, you see, I've taken an International Federation of Robotics report of 2023. It is so interesting. Now, this is the data which is of South Korea. They are number 3, and we are so fortunate to have the DA from Japan here. And DA and Japan still leads this, and we are leads in the robotics, and we're aware of what they've done. China, of course, aims to become number 1 in drone and robotics by 2025. And also, when you have this, I'll come to my recommendations of how we can leverage this capability of Japan and Taiwan and all the others, and have a joint venture which is amongst friendly countries. Now, why a success story in China has been because drones and robotics have been driven by the government initiative worldwide. I think the Indian government needs to participate more into drone and robotics development, especially in terms of the funding, finances, and also the policies and things which are coming up. So actually, this self-sustenance is the only guarantee. To become self-reliant, actually, we are about 10 years, in Indian context, we are about 10 years away from that. Yeah, next, please. Reliability. No, just go to reliability. One back. Yeah, next. Okay. Okay, just go to reliability. I think that was the slide which has to come earlier. When I'm looking at reliability, I'm looking at technology. I've already covered. I also say, that R&D versus transfer of technology versus customization. There's some very niche core modules in terms of drones, aerial platforms, the engines or the motors which are controlling rotors, etc. They are important. They are niche technologies which are there. So do we going for reinventing the wheel and looking at transfer of technology, which has got its own pluses and minuses, or do we look for customization? I had worked with a firm where actually we had got the core from imported, and we did a customization there to meet the Indian requirements, and it worked out very well with the partnership with the OEM and the MOUs and business partnership that we've got. The core, as and when it improves, the latest version available. So you have to see whether we have to go for R&D, TOT, or customization. Of course, supply chain, the certification is important. Development of capability of certification is important. Self-certification cannot be an answer any longer. Then also, in terms of Internet of military things, one of the most important aspects is authentication. We need to develop a good system of authentication, which could be based on some crypto algorithms and keys. There are ways which can do it, and also the encryption of the ICT infrastructure. Now, joint ventures and partnership. I just said we are all aware of the Snowden revelations, which led to the mistrust, wherein everybody's aware of Snowden, the PRISM program, and even surveillance over friendly NATO leaders was done in that. So that has led to a mistrust. If that can happen, then we got to see how much trust can be developed when you're looking at aspects of from some reliable source, or so it can't just be a commercial aspect of getting earning dollars. It has to be more of a partnership and friendship, and of course leading to trust and matching values out there. And of course, code verification is important. There are some good systems like the Huawei and the British Telecom system, which they had of a code verification and generation. That is a model which we'll have to go in, because primarily the quantity of firmware which is going to be there is there. So this could be looked at. Of course, another thing is the command control communications. We have to analyze whether it should be Wi-Fi, 5G versus high capacity MANE. Here to be looked at is the bandwidth, latency, and infrastructure less. MANE is the mobile ad hoc network, is high capacity. There are capacity of in excess of 90 Mbps plus with adequate size, latency of less data end-to-end, about 6 milliseconds and so on. And only thing is, since it is an infrastructure less, it can roll out, even it can take care of swarms and downlinks and so on and so forth. I have been working on such a project which has been very successful. We could look at that as the system. 5G has an issue of and Wi-Fi of infrastructure, though they have got good bandwidth. It will take some time to 5G actually to venture into a greenfield deployment. Primarily, the time the satellites and UAVs and all that don't come up into this, which is the version release version 17 onwards. And of course, there has to be a balance in the tactical battle area for edge computing versus the cloud computing, which is going to take place. So robustness, because these are the ones which are actually guarantee you robustness and reliability, perform a task, and of course, survivability in the cyber RF domain. Yeah, just go back, go to the recommendation now, please. Next slide. Yeah, next, the recommendations. Yeah, so I have just 3 recommendations. Like it is done by the countries which have been successful in robotics, and the Indian government needs to enhance their support towards drone robotics AI. And there should be an ease of use of National Research Foundation, because we look at all the technology coming as dual use robotics and AI. They're actually dual use now, so we have to see how that can happen, because the meager 1 crore, which is that is about 100 lakh rupees, is not going to be enough. Also, we need to, like I said, we got to revisit the indigenous content calculation. If a module is not manufactured in India at all, then why do we increase it as the cost? Because there's no other option but to import it. So, in addition to the positive indigenous list, the government should look at having a list of trusted module list. This should be covering all the modules and subsystems which are not manufactured in India, but the government has analyzed it and they say, okay, fine, A, B, C, D OEMs are the reliable sources. You can go purchase from them. But then it has an advantage of people not going for the lowest cost system. Now, of course, there has to be a prioritized robotics and AI joint ventures at government to government level or government to business level with friendly foreign countries. And Japan is a very good country to look at, because they have a lot of expertise, and joint ventures, a market plus the expertise. I'm sure they will retain their #1 position and be displaced by China by 2025. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. So now I would like to invite Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, sir, for his intake on this topic. So please, sir, Rajiv, sir, please.
First of all, thanks to NADDSO and General Pannu, General Chand, and Mr. Sunil. Very nicely covered. Actually, you did my job very, very easier, because the research which you have done, I was also researching I have been researching on the same things earlier. And so I'll basically come to the crux and the practical part of it. And the threat from China, from the unmanned autonomous system, as Mr. General Chand told, is real, not only for India, but not only for the neighbors of Pakistan, China, but for the world. Because arguably, China is today the biggest drone manufacturer, certainly on paper number 2 to the US, but arguably the biggest drone manufacturer. And whatever class of drones the world has seen, whether it is Predator or Global Hawk, very well covered up by the Sunil, they have an answer in their own language. Now, so what do we have to do for this? Certainly, we have to have strategies to find, fix, and destroy in case of the hostilities, or even otherwise when the ISR missions are happening. At the same time, we have to have capability to beat them in their own game. And for that, time is running out very fast. Actually, for more than 2 to 3 years, we have been talking and we have been telling that drone is a thing in which India has a capability to become a major world power. A lot of proliferation has happened. Meher Baba competition gave a great fillip. Good infrastructure has started coming up. But the amount of support which is required to be done, and a synergy which has to be developed, because drone, as very well covered up by Mr. General Chand, is not a war fighting machine in itself only. It's a dual use and multi-use technology and it will proliferate very fast. So until we take very definitive, concrete, and quick actions in the field of drone, the field may be getting away from it. We have seen in the recent wars that the manufacturers from the Iran or from Spain or from Turkey have supplied components to the fighting forces in the world. So and they are not the known arm exporter in the world. They are not America or Israel or China or Russia or France or Britain or Germany. So if they have taken the steps in the field of drone and have got successful product demonstrated and proven things, why today India does not have things of its own production? So as hinted by General Pannu, steps have been taken, firstly, for integrated atmosphere to promote that technology, number one, enable the manufacturer, number two, create testing range. Today, we do not have a testing range, a single. Drone manufacturers are doing testing in the agricultural fields. Create testing range in the field. 4, create different clusters, because we cannot, each one manufacturer or all manufacturers cannot make everything. You have to have center of excellence, again, as hinted by General Pannu, in the various field, whether it is batteries or power plant or EOIR systems or automated systems or autopilots or mainframe or the propellers. Because today, whatever field we see, whether it is hail or mail, whether it is recurrences or whether it is combat unmanned systems, China has taken leap and it has gone much, much ahead. So it is a kind of urgent but definitive and considered actions are required to be taken, and any initiative by NADDSO, by Department of Science and Technology, by Ministry of Defense, all the 3 armed forces. So a manthan is required, keeping all the stakeholders, keeping drone manufacturers also on board, the technology hubs, IITs and IICs on board, and the government, and create a mission, create a project of a national drone project and start developing dual-use drone and have a very clear timeline that by year 2030, these 10 things will be achieved. Till the time we do it and do it now in this year, we will not be able to achieve that. With that, I'll conclude.
Thank you so much, Rajiv, sir. It's a very clear-cut note you have shared with us. So thank you so much. And thank you to all the listeners who are patiently listening to our speakers. Now, I would like to have thoughts of our guests from East to West. Would like to invite Colonel Toto Koznari from Japan Embassy. So firstly, I just welcome you, sir. And I just wanted your note on this topic. So please, sir.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting this seminar. It is very useful for us to understand the situation, what happened in the Chinese drone. So I would like to some comment. So as everyone says that China is the biggest suppliers of the drones for the world. However, from the perspective of the economic security or supply chain or cyber security, it is very important for among like-minded countries to ensure to have the reliable sources of the drones or UAV, same as the semiconductors. So as the speakers mentioned, joint venture with India and Japan, Taiwan is a good solution for every country. Actually, ACSL, Japanese drone company, has already signed the MOU with Aero Arc Private Limited, which is an Indian drone company. The cooperation between India and Japan has already started. So we look forward to the further development in the area of this cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So now I would like to have thoughts of our guest from Philippine Embassy and also welcoming because he had joined a little later. So welcome, sir, Colonel Ronaldo Gomes. Please, sir, I just needed your intake on this topic. So please, welcome, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to join this event. I'm sorry, I just logged in a few minutes ago. I haven't heard what the speakers have talked about a while ago, so I can't comment. But you know, it's an honor to take part in this BTC. Maybe we can I can comment on the next meeting. I'm sorry. One cannot comment on things she has not heard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No problem. So now I just wanted to, I would like to invite and want to have his thoughts. Like I would like to have thoughts of our guest from Vietnam Embassy, Senior Colonel Pham Duy Hanh. Please, sir, what's your intake on this topic? I guess he has not joined us yet, so no problem. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the listeners for listening to our guest. Now, we would like to have thoughts from our representative from services. If anybody from the services want to have their intake on this topic, the forum is open for all of you. So if anyone wants to say something or give their intake or thought, so please, you can share it. Is there anyone who wants to share something or his intake to a topic?
In fact, if we can have a voice from industry, it will be very, very good.
Yes, please, sir. You're welcome.
Yes, Aarti, this is Tarun Deep Singh from Mangsang Engineers and Consultants. I just wanted to have, ask a question. It is an open question, in fact, probably more relevant to the dignitaries who are controlling the top order, General Pannu, Major General Lavchan, Rajiv, Sunil. My question is about the collaboration. Okay, fine. I think there were some questions in our roundtables also. We raised such things earlier. So I'm picking them up again. Now the question is that the entrepreneurs in India, if we are talking about indigenization of our systems over here, so we do have probably now a very inner view of what our requirements are. But the problem which we face here is the right collaboration, and of course, as indicated by Major General Lavchan, the funding. I know it is going to be a very, very big issue for all the R&D that we want to do here. We have the ideas, we have very bright brains here who are ready to put in almost everything of theirs. But at some point of time, we have to hold back our steps because we don't have enough funds. And again, the major issue is of IPs. How are we going to address that? And that's my first question. And the second question that I have in here is the collaboration between between the entrepreneurs here in India and entrepreneurs are already existing players in foreign countries like Japan. So Mr. Toda has already said that there is already one MOU signed. But Mr. Toda, there are many other players in India who are very small time players, but they have brilliant ideas. I have seen them myself, and they are mind blowing. But only thing is, those ideas need to be given a shape. So that shape can be given by by means of a collaboration between people who are highly technical and who have already gained some experience in realizing such kind of ideas earlier. So as I think Mr. Mittal also mentioned, that collaborations are going to be, mutually beneficial. I have not seen much to be much talked about this particular section. But yes, collaborations have to be a win-win situation. It is going to be, if it has to be there, then it has to be a good for Japan, for Philippines, for Vietnam, for India as well. So if that thing is in mind, and we are moving ahead and considering the brilliant ideas and how to consider bring them on table and realize them, I think that is going to be very, very beneficial, since Japan is already very much ahead in drone manufacturing and technology. Maybe going up from here may need an out-of-box thinking, which probably is abundant in India. So what is
With
your
the
take on?
permission of General Pannu and Aarti, can I try to begin to answer the question?
Yes, sir, please.
So first of all, have you heard of the Government of India schemes, Ministry of Defense scheme of IDEX, Innovation for Defense Excellence? Have you heard of it, IDEX?
Yes, Mr.
So,
Mittal, I have heard of it. I have heard
Yeah.
of it.
So I'll just give, since you have just heard of it, I'll just give in 30 seconds a brief of it. Innovation of Defense Excellence is an excellent scheme in which you can certainly get a minimum of 1.5 crore rupees of funding by government, and it can go up to 10 CR. Scheme is under review, and very soon you may hear, because decision has not yet been taken, but very soon you may hear this may go from 1.5 to 5, and from 10 CR it may go up to 20 CR also. But as of today, 1.5 and up to 10 CR here. And if you have an idea which you can execute, you can directly go on the IDEX website or DIO, Defense Innovation Organization website, and put it as an open challenge from your side. Then you don't even have a competition. It will be only assessed by user, industry, peer group, and the technical groups of IIT and ISCs. Very open, online, and transparent assessment process. And the funding is direct benefit to the account. There is absolutely no face-to-face contact by anyone. Besides that, you have got a scheme of TDF in which through DRDO, you can get a funding of up to 50 CR. The benefit of these schemes is if you fail, nothing is recovered from you. Money is not taken from you. But if you succeed, you are assured of getting a contract, getting minimum order quantity orders from the armed forces. So it is a win-win for the entrepreneurs. So you must try to take advantage of these two schemes. Besides that, again, if you are going for a collaboration, then under Make 2, if you are sure of the technology and the product, and through a collaboration or through a lending agency, you can invest, then again, orders are assured to you. So you must take advantage of IDEX, TDF, or Make 1, Make 2, Make 3 schemes of government. And if you feel the government has changed the DAP many a times, so wherever industry feels, no, certain parts is prohibitive or less supportive, come out openly and approach on your open platform on the website of the Ministry of Defense Production, DDP, or the IDEX website, and tell this more should be enabled. So that can be done. But yes, certainly either totally by your own innovation or with collaboration of your foreign counterparts, the scheme benefit can be taken. And I'm available anytime to give free of cost consultation on these things to any entrepreneur any point of time. That's all from my side. Sir, you may take and elaborate further, sir.
Hi, can I speak? Can I put one point of mine? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead with a brief introduction about yourself. Please.
Yeah, yeah, I'm Milind Kakti from Arcus Technologies.
Yes, please go ahead,
Okay,
Milind.
regarding the IDEX, when you say IDEX gives 1.5 crore rupees, it's only after matching contribution from a entrepreneur or a startup, whatever it is. So now if I already have 1.5 crore, I wouldn't go as a startup. I would never go to do that because I can fund myself. The point is we should give a grant or something which is open, that startups can start working on it, take up and start working on it. That was my point. Thank you, sir.
So that 1.5 CR matching contribution is absolutely correct, but that gets subsumed in the main of your cost of infrastructure, cost of establishment, or cost of the consultancy. So your practical and actual contribution is not really 1.5 CR. It is a much fractional cost in the real term. Why I'm telling so? Because in last 1.5 years in my capacity, I have supported more than 30 startups, and they were practically purely fresh engineering pass out, and they have been able to get it done. But yes, your point is taken, and that things can be coming up. And if you want total grant, as I told, TDF scheme is there, Technology Development Fund, in which you can get a grant of 90% of 50 crore rupees, up to 50 crore rupees.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Can I get can I get your email ID or something so I can contact you?
Yeah, I'll request Aarti to flash it later. Otherwise, if you can note down, mittal3066@yahoo.com. MITTAL 3066@yahoo.com. Anytime.
Sure, sir. Thanks, sir.
I hope, Milan, your question is being answered.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
So, may I come in? I am Vasudeva from the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor.
Welcome,
Now-
sir. Welcome, sir.
Oh, thank you. Now, you see, to start with the problem, so far the demand mapping has not been done properly. So what sort of demand is existing in the civil as well as in the military? Of course, the military is buying under the emergency purchases, and then coming to the startup to production. Now, many startups are growing under the IDEX program. So how do you take them to the production level? That link is also absent. So another thing is, which has already been told, we require definitely testing facilities, certification methodologies have to be standardized for civil as well as military drone. So far, as I know, the drones are flying without any certification, which is not a good thing. So I think these are the few issues which I wanted to address, which should be taken up in your forum. So thank you very much.
Sure, sir. We will have our concern over it, and even I would like that the office of PSA will join us on the next session, which is about innovation in not only in defense and aerospace, but in the space domain also. And we will be obliged when you will be joined, and it is taking place next month. And sir, I'm just having question on my WhatsApp from industry, and these are for the Japanese DA Colonel Toda.
Sril, let me just add, because the two very pertinent points were brought up by Sri Sudesh Vasudevan and also Commodore Mittal, right?
Sir.
What we are also looking at NADDSO is that we have to have a very detailed, technology roadmap of what we want to achieve. Today, what is happening in the absence of that, everybody is just focusing on the platform and some piecemeal requirement, and that is why it is all emergency procurements which are taking place. And certainly 1.5 crore, which comes to just about 180,000 US dollars, is not enough to do this, which the industry is there. So what we need to do is, as NADDSO, as an association, is we need to actually formalize what should be the roadmap of the drones. And when I say drone, I'm talking at both drones and robotics. And also what is the voice of the industry, especially in terms of funding. They do go to the alternate investment funds and others and loans and all that, but in R&D that is not adequate. And 1.4. So what strikes my mind and what we have been contemplating is that actually we need to have a consortium, and somebody says, fine, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. So instead of looking at R&D in the holistic system, you have to do R&D for subsystems. And as a consortium under the guidance and maybe even a policy by the government, such consortiums should be first formed, recognized by the government, approved by the government, considering their capability, and then they should invest into making the entire system. Everybody investing in making a complete system is not the way 1.5 crore is not going to be adequate. I mean, that is what my thought was, which we have to, of course, keep interacting with the policy formulation people and do this and become the voice of industry, how they want to do it. Because the government is very, very open to whatever is being, the recommendation by the industry is being analyzed and, put into action. That is what I just wanted to say.
Right, sir. Point taken, sir. With your permission, sir, there are few questions coming and we should, I think it is Q&A session, we should start. Sir, one question is coming from Delta Combat Systems Limited and it is to the defense attaché of Japan, Colonel Toda Kazunari. So question is for him, how does the embassy of Japan is facilitating or planning to facilitate Japanese industry to take step in the Indian market, in the Indian defense and aerospace market? Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much for your question. So, of course, the Embassy of Japan would like to bring the Japanese company to the Indian market. So, actually, we are planning to have the joint working group, which is specific, which is in which we discuss with the potential area to cooperate regarding the defense technologies. So, of course, at this time, so we how to say we bring some Japanese companies to the India, or we have some kind of the webinar like this between the Indian companies and the Japanese companies. So actually, I think the Japanese company don't have much knowledge of the Indian capability of the building such a good products. So then I think that we need to facilitate to make the opportunity to understand each other. So as I said, one of the solution is the I think that of course the India has this big event like DefExpo or Aero India. At the occasion, so Japanese company should come to here and understand what we can do. That's my answer.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate the way you have answered, and the Delta Combat System has already taken your answer. So next, I would request Mr. Rakesh Taurani from Indian Chamber of Commerce in Slovakia to have his words on this topic and how his organization can contribute in unmanned systems in India.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is Rakesh Taurani from Slovakia. Namaskar. Thank you, NADDSO, for organizing the things. The seminar is going fantastic. It's innovative learning, a lot of learning for us also. Slovakia is a very small country, but very good in R&D services. So what the companies are asking regarding the tie-ups for the developing the new things, we can be a very key tool in that. And it's not just the drones, but also the anti-jammers, radars and other things also can be done from here in a very good way. So if somebody would like to get in touch, Sunil ji has all the details. And once again, thank you, General Pannu, General Chand, for everything. Sunil ji, thank you for organizing the wonderful thing. It's a really good learning for us. Thank you. Looking forward to have a communication with all of you.
Thank you, sir. So again, now I would like to invite, because Specifically, this is about unmanned systems, and there is a very good company, very good name in drone technology, RAFE, and the representative, Commander Vijay Rawat sir is here. We would request if he can contribute in this discussion from his side. Commander Vijay Rawat sir.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Commodore Rawat, and I work as president in the company RFAM Fiber. We have an elaborate R&D and manufacturing setup in Noida, and in recent time we have invested a lot of money in develop the capacity and capability for R&D and also manufacture drones. So basically, I've been part of this entire webinar from the start, and a lot of new ideas have been thrown. And I do tend to agree with some of the speakers who say that there are some roadblocks. But if you ask me very frankly, although there are a lot of government initiatives which have been taken, and it is definitely going to enhance the capabilities of the startups. But unless a roadmap is made as to what is the actual quantum requirement of the military, as well as the quantum requirement of the CAPFs, and also what perhaps could also dual task as an equipment that can be used by the military as well as by the agriculture field and other kind of fields, it becomes very difficult for people to plan and do to start doing manning of your manufacturing setup. Because if you're not very clear about what is the quantum of requirement, foreseeable requirement, then it becomes a wee bit difficult, especially for smaller companies. Like we are also a small company, we started in 2017. Now, of course, we're coming along. We've got a couple of orders with MOD. So this is one of the things. And the second thing is that the R&D, unfortunately, because of the previous policy of the government for a long period of time, R&D has not yet actually kickstarted properly in our country. So unless there are people who are dedicated and focusing on the R&D part, we will continue to be depending on people from outside for providing us very niche technology. And that is one thing which is not very good. The other thing is that whatever comes from the armed forces these days is in the form of fast-track procurement cases. And see what happens, like we have been participating in some way, we have been L1 and some way we have signed a contract. I have a feeling that, the timelines given for one year is rather too short for any company to muster the capital investment and start doing things, so that they are able to compete with bigger companies or established companies. So there needs to be a level playing field for startups, because there are more than 500 startups in the field of drone manufacturing. And but the fact of the matter is that 12 months is too short a time. And then when they allow IDDM as well as make in India, so either you should only allow IDDM, where you actually do indigenous design, development, and manufacture, and where you have 51% by cost. But if you're allowing something else, then there are people who will actually go abroad and pick up the equipment for the demonstration, and thereafter they replicate the model. So it is not actually really enhancing the indigenous capability for doing anything very significant in the field of drones. And as has been well established in today's webinar, drone is the future of warfare also. You can see that in Russia-Ukraine war. You have seen the previous war, Armenia and the other Azerbaijan war. So drones are the future, and I think there is a need, although a lot is being done by the current government and a lot of push has been given by the armed forces. You can see, I mean, the number of RFPs we have churning out for procurement of drones, you can actually make out there is a urgency and there's a dedicated focus. But I think everything needs to be planned in a better manner. If you want to get a good product, and if you want to get an Indian product, you need to give them time. You need to give them time for people to establish JVs with foreign vendors for niche capabilities, which are allowed by the government of India rules. In particular is the motor. The drone motor all over the world is manufactured by the Chinese. Then propellers, the batteries. These are some of the niche capabilities which we need to create an ecosystem within our country where all these things could be done, and which requires time and a lot of investment. So these are some of my thought process I thought I must just convey. Anyway, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. Your word taken, and I would request you that whatever you have said, if it will come on paper, so we will send those papers to the concerned departments and agencies so that they will sort all the problems out in future. Thank you.
I shall
sir.
do so. Thanks a lot. I shall do so.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So next is I'm having question from one company, and in between, sir, I would request Mr. Tanuj Gautam from Pushpak Aerospace to give his views, and he is also an active member of NADDSO. His company just joined, and they are into agriculture drones, but they also intend to come to military drones. Over to Mr. Tanuj Gautam. Mr. Tanuj, can you hear me? I think there is a problem with his system. So now if anybody want to add something, their thoughts, they are welcome. We are waiting for them.
Hello, sir. I have got one question.
Please give your introduction and your organizations.
Yeah. Hello, sir. I'm Milind again from Marcus Technologies.
Okay. Please.
So my question is, how do we contact you or any members? Like, is there any WhatsApp group or something like that, or some common forum?
Milind, you can just go on NADDSO's website and you can contact us through mail. The mail ID is being given on the website.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Sure, definitely.
Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Sunilji, can I come in?
Sir.
Sunilji, a small suggestion. Maybe NADDSO should take a lead and help to sign the contracts with the different R&D companies, whether it's from any part of the world, with the Indian partners, because that will be a kind of a filtration to see which partner is good for the Indian partners, or vice versa also for the companies from here. Why? Because many times, I don't want to play a blame game or something like that, but many times people talk big and then they don't perform, which is like backfiring for both the companies, whether it's from here, if they are talking big, which is a backfire for the Indian company, because based on this commitment, they committed ahead, and vice versa also. So I think if the filtration process can be done by the NADDSO and done the agreements via NADDSO as an organization, that will be a helpful thing. I mean, there could be a format which somebody has to plan it upfront or fill it upfront, based on then taking the leads in a different direction.
Dr. Vasu from the PSA's office has got huge amount of experience in the R&D and collaborative arrangements. So Rakesh, I'm now looking for, if Dr. Vasu is still there, if he can contribute. Yeah, he's there. If he can help us to understand how we can have the collaboration of various R&D organizations, companies, private and public both.
That would be great, sir.
Okay. You see, at the moment, such collaborations are not there. People are just working. For example, startups up, they are doing their own job. Then the other companies, they have started like that. And they're giving different type of drones. As far as the civil sector is concerned, that is also not organized. Now, IIT Kanpur is one of the center which is working on the drones strongly, as I know. And they have also come out with the various models. Okay. So as you have suggested, we have to have the R&D centers, the center of excellence, and the our testing facilities. Now, as far as the testing for the drones is concerned, I think our Semi-Lab for the military drones is already existing. So the substance of that can be utilized. They have come out with a a document also for the drones. So we have to we have to sit together and to work out a plan that how we can collaborate with the R&D sector, and then our production center. Our production means the small production center and the large production center. How do we link those? So that is the question mark. Still, it is not sorted out. Now, you see, the startup, they are making their own drones. And after some time, probably they may exist or they may not exist. And large number of drones are required of the military standards or for the civils. So the large production houses, how do we link to the startups? That's also one of the question mark. And how R&D goes into that. So there are three elements of this. R&D inputs which are coming. How do they go into the pilot plant production? So I will say it's a lab to fab sort of thing. So that how we do the from the lab we take out to the fabrication. So I think jointly we have to sit and identify the various centers which are already doing the job. As I have told you, as I know about the IIT Kanpur, they are doing a lot of work on the drones. And the other institute, Kharagpur also was doing. I don't know how much they have done in the field of the drones. And then another thing is as has been brought out, the components, from where the components will come. So the components are all, they are all of Chinese origin, whether it is a motor or whether it is a lithium battery. So that also, now in the country, we have started producing the lithium batteries. And we have to see whether those can be used for this purpose. So I think it's very important that we do the demand mapping, technology mapping, and then the linkage with the R&D centers. How we can do? I think we can meet one day. You can come to our office, General Panu. We can sit on it and we can work out a model on this.
Thank you, Dr. Vasudeva. What format I have worked on, and in the NADDSO, we would work on it, is that X and Y axis, that we have systems written on top from left to right, and we have on the left to bottom written the categories of drones, starting with 250 grams or whatever, nano, mini, micro, whatever, and then coming to mail. So what we are going to do is say, if the first category on top is written as motors or engines or power or command and control system or actuators or fuselage, airframes or whatever, on the left-hand side is that for every system, motor is different. For every system, the engine, the requirement is different for every category of drone.
Right.
Cannot have motors across the board for every, so you can't have one size fit all for any component. The drone manufacturing is a little complicated, as people might think that it is. So now when you talk about coming to IDEX or getting the TDF released from the DRDO, how can you actually go into all the categories and pick up everything and start, pitching for either go for a RFI response or, for a IDEX kind of a challenge? You can't. So we at NADDSO are going to put this thing together. Say, for example, if for the motor at the micro category or the nano category is supposed to be built of this kind, then that is the kind which is going to be specified. And the clusterization will come up that all the people who can actually build the motors for a nano or for a micro, and then we will put scales on it, that how many approximately would be required in each sector. I think that is the study that NADDSO is aiming to put together, so that we have a library and we have a directory. Now, say, for example, once we have done identification of a kind of a product, and again, I will keep giving the same example, say motor of a particular kind of category, then we will go deep dive into it, that which is the R&D organization which has already worked on it, which is the R&D organization who's willing to work, or which is the foreign collaborator R&D which is willing to come and chip in there, because it is otherwise very loose, which R&D for what R&D, which category, what segment, that becomes very complicated. So every segment would be taken, and then we will build a 3D model that we will go deep down into it, that how one component can be built. So if multiple components are to be built for multiple categories of drones, we would have a library. And that is where the center of excellence comes in. That is where clusterization of development comes in. And that is where we will have the entire consortium approach work together. And demand mapping is something which Dr. Vasudeva had spoken about. At every type of drone required for each industry, for each use, would also be worked at. Because after all, it is not difficult to know what are the categories of drones being produced in the world and sold. The similar scale would, in ratio and proportion, be extrapolated here as a baseline, and you keep it away. On the other side, you start developing your own model. So these are the model in NADDSO which we are going to work. But every time we have a discussion and a debate like this, I think also contributes to huge amount of data. And we have various experts like Dr. Vasudeva, who've been working. He's been in DRDO. He's seen the systems succeed or otherwise. He has seen what works, what does not work. So why reinvent the wheel where we have experienced people supporting us? So we can generally advise or request the industry to come up with what is the category of drones that you're interested in, what are the category of drones you have already expertise in. You could be very good at sensors, who knows? You could be very good at communication, who knows? You could be very good at space, connectivity with the drones. You could be very good at materials. You could be very good at command and control. You could be very good at PNT. You could be very good at engines and batteries. You could be good at anything. So please put your core competence here so that we can then say, okay, these are the 5 companies put together. I think this is what they can, this category can be manufactured. And the whole ecosystem can be fed either to the services or to the government, and make sure that not only we manufacture, but we also certify that, yes, this is the indigenous content which has come up because we have seen it develop under our own aegis. It is not that somebody is just speculating. We will give them a historical evidence of how the collaborative system work together, who are the R&D contributors to it, government, semi-government, private industry and all. These evidences will ultimately support that this supply chain is indigenous and it has got developed over a period of time. Otherwise, for industry to work by itself is going to be extremely difficult. And NADDSO is ready to give that kind of a certification if the whole process has been put together by NADDSO. And we would say that, yes, all the certificates are going to be given by NADDSO, that, yes, we worked on this collaboration, that even if it is a TOD, say from Japan or from South Korea or from Taiwan or from Philippines or from Slovakia, we would certify that, yes, this transfer did happen. This was completely linked up. Now it has been developed in India, and this is where it has fitted in. And whatever then fits in becomes a good take for the IDEX to say that we are going to give priority because this is the IDDM. I hope it makes sense. We can contribute to this hypothesis of mine.
Yeah. I think NADDSO also play a very critical role. And as you were talking, you see, we have been working for some requirement for the BSF. Technology stacks, as you have divided that motors are required and this thing. So we put in the technology stacks, that what sort of technology stacks we should work out for the various type of the drones which are required by the services. So I think this one example, when you come to our office, we'll discuss about that. We have worked out the technology stacks. So we will discuss that what sort of motor is required, what sort of propeller is required. So against the requirement, you work out same thing you are telling. I think that's a very good idea, and it should be done like that only. So
sorry for disturbing. Two things what I have encountered and faced a problem. I'm not trying to say that we don't have smart wins, but there were certain tenders where the specifications were not as per the locations and the things really needed. So maybe it should be a little bit more open communication where we can suggest that this won't work in this condition. This is what is required to make it happen better. And also could be some express line of certification, because many times people do have a technologies, do have the things in hand, but the certification process is so long that it gets stuck and they lose the heart in that.
Rakesh, thank you. You've made a very specific point. I would request the industry with experiences to make specific points. We will withhold the name, but we will take it into the points of challenges so that we can deal with the government. After all, Dr. Vasudeva is sitting in the PSA's office. Once we know that there is a company which has had issues in the past, you can give us the details, but we will withhold, because then the whole stack of problem statements will come together. We can go to the policymaker to say, do not allow this because this is the input from the industry, because NADDSO is also the industry's voice, and industry must voice openly to NADDSO. And then whether industry's name and a particular company's name is taken or not, but the fact is that is what the industry is saying. And we will go and speak on behalf of the industry. Not only speak on behalf of the industry, we can represent by making reports. And this is the process of making a report, that we are sitting together and talking about it. And each thing which is being said is going to be printed out in the NADDSO report. This webinar itself is going to be converted to a report. The next one, which we have next month, it also is going to be converted into a report. And from these couple of reports put together, we will then handle those things with every policymaker, every R&D establishment, the stakeholder, even those who have to give us the demand map.
That would be great, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to add one more thing, especially to Sudesh Vasudeva sir from Office of PSA, that NADDSO is planning to integrate the whole drone industry. If they are coming from agriculture segment, military segment, or any other, so commercial segment. So we are planning to integrate the whole drone industry and bring them under one flag. And we, just like China did in 2011, under the command of CMC, Chinese Military Commission. They didn't do it only for the military drones, they also did it for the commercial drone industry. So we will share the plan with you in upcoming days, and we'll have your views so that we will lead the industry in the right direction. Am I right?
Definitely.
So,
yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, sir. Sir, a lot of questions are coming for Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, sir, and this is difficult. Like in this small webinar, all answers cannot be answered in this manner. So I would suggest all people that they should draft a official mail, and we will share, with your permission, sir, we will share your mail ID with all those industry people, so that
Most welcome, no problem.
Sir. So anybody else, if they have their question, please go ahead. Yes, I would also introduce Mr. Tarun Sehgal from NACO Industries. They are already working in defense and aerospace, and they have vision to do something innovative in the industry. Mr. Tarun Sehgal.
Everyone.
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, sir, your audible voice
Okay.
is too low.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, now clear.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, NADDSO, for giving me the opportunity to join this webinar. This webinar is very useful. And from the very beginning, I'm listening to Sunil and other speakers. So, yeah, the Chinese, the way they are moving ahead in building up their ecosystem, and these drones and the types of drones they have already built up. So yeah, this is the threat to India, and you can say the other friendly countries. So yeah, the time has come that India should also take the similar initiative. And we all know that we Indians, we are capable of doing everything. So in aerospace program, the India, we know that we are doing everything. And so in the drones, now the time has come that we need to take this challenge. And we all MSME or and the government organization, we all should build this ecosystem together. And we should try to move in this vision of basically taking this movement which has been started today by the NADDSO. So I'm very glad that I'm being part of this webinar, and we are also looking forward to basically collaborate with the drone manufacturer. And so if I can get the contact detail of the DAs which are present in this meeting, so that will be very helpful to me. Yeah, from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarunji. Word taken, and we will, with the permission of all the DAs, we will share the contact details so that you can ping them and you can send the mails with your requirement.
Yeah, thank you, Sunil.
Sir.
Thank you.
And now, sir, as we are running short of time, but it is really an active participation from all the people in the webinar. Anything else, General Panu sir or General Chand sir, if you want to add anything, please. Or should we conclude the meeting?
I think Toby was wanting to say something, but
yes, sir, please.
Since the webinar was till 6 o'clock, he's got busy somewhere. At 5:30, he said he'll come back. But after General Chand has spoken, maybe I would contribute a few thoughts.
Sir.
Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. But right now we need to actually work out. We will work out. In fact, we will all work out the way ahead, how we're going to do it. And certainly the Dr. Vasu's points are very important, especially the mapping between the demand and supply and R&D. Way to do it is exactly what I was saying about customization, things like that. What we're going to do. So let's work it out and certainly look at consortiums and how we can do it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
We have Colonel Gill. May I request, Kuldeep, let's talk about how do you think in India, the first and foremost, even if you have imported technology, what are the things that you must indigenize first in the order of priority, so that at least you have the integrity of the system that you built, basically the communication, so that it is hack-proof?
This aspect was covered to an extent by General Chand. He did spoke about command and control communications and cyber RF. So, I'll take a cue from what General Chand has mentioned. We don't have to reinvent all the wheels, but we may have to customize some of the wheels. And that's a typical process which is followed even in the avionics. When we import an aircraft, we put in a lot of avionics, which is not known to the OEM or the outside world. So we can do something similar for drones as well. And most critical area where we need to invest first is the command and control part, the navigation part. And since that is more specific to military drones, since they'll be operating under the adverse environment, there'll be a lot of threats. So if we go in for a system which has got at least the knowledge of that system is not available anywhere outside, and it is purely to the users and customized only for a particular use case, that is one area we should invest. And in this area, there are three verticals where we can look at it to begin with. One is purely a communication setup. What kind of communication protocols we should use, and we should develop certain non-standard protocols. Because in the word of ELINT and TechInt, standard protocols are the one which will take a hit immediately. But if we go in for a non-standard protocols with encryption, which is again a non-standards customized for our requirement, then the degree of difficulty becomes very high when it comes to taking anti-technology measures. Second is purely with respect from the cyber angle with respect to the integrity of data and the sustenance of data links when they are threatened because of anti-technology attacks. So there again, we need to have de novo solutions developed in-house, customized for our requirements. And third is with respect to the PNT. navigation timings are very critical for us, for our drones. And in this area, again, we should have our own solutions. And there is a lot of expertise which is available in the academia, as well as the R&D fraternity is opening out beyond R&D, beyond DRDO. A lot of industries putting in a lot of efforts in this. So we can have a model of collaborative design and development, where maybe we can take some funding from the government as well and set up a lab and bring together the experts in these three areas and do customization, so that we build more resistance and we are more strong against anti-technology attacks.
Yeah. Colonel Gill, I think you've brought in very pertinent points, as General Chand had covered. So, though I had asked you a question and you have answered it completely and pretty well, does it take us to a point of common understanding that if you have to indigenize, you don't have to start really indigenizing certain nuts and bolts or certain things which are coming from outside? So be it. So we say, these are the components in the chain we should import, or we should not try to, as you're saying, or General Chand was saying, reinvent the wheel. And let's not, bang a head into it. We need to bang our head into certain specific where our security and the privacy and survivability is important. So I think we need to, at NADDSO, prioritize the indigenization levels and look at the importance of those components of indigenization rather than a percentage of indigenization, where you could have indigenized something 90%, but yet those drones are vulnerable to technology intervention. So where was the requirement of indigenizing 90% when you're still vulnerable? You rather do the 10% of, taking care of the vulnerability and allow rest of the 90%. I'm just putting these percentages in a very speculative manner, that you allow those which are not going to be threatening your technological, security. Is anybody having a thought around this, that which side should we indigenize from? What should be a priority of indigenization? And how then we could build for a dual use certain things which can continue to go in the direction where you are less hardened and more hardened. Hardening is not only from security point of view, hardening is also from the terrain used for it. You don't have to harden to a point when those drone use cases are going to be basically meant for planes or for more precision farming, marine economy. So you don't have to harden them. Or you may have to harden it from another point of view if they are going to be used for the marine, or they're going to be used in the ocean, with the Navy, or with the fisheries sector for the blue economy. How much hardenization for super high altitude and high altitude? I think maximum high altitude, super high altitude is more in the military category and less in the category of dual use elsewhere. I think these are the percentages that we need to put together, that indigenization and hard ruggedization is something that is extremely important, and you cannot do away with that. So we can have just 1 or 2 minutes or whatever debate on this. I'll be very happy to put it down in the report. So you all disagree, agree, or doesn't matter? You could do this 90% or that.
Agree, sir.
So thing is, it is thought is absolutely welcome, but the most vulnerable are also the most difficult to indigenize. Autonomous control system, autopilot control system, PNT system, EOIR systems. These are the most vulnerable systems where we certainly should have control. And these must be the most difficult to indigenize. Batteries, propellers, mainframes, motors, absolutely not possible, not very difficult to indigenize. But with my association with the various drone manufacturers, actually, none of these components are difficult to indigenize. And we have got very good infrastructure setup. Luckily, all these people are working with one or the other IITs, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Kanpur, IIT Madras, or IIT Bangalore, IIT Delhi. And we have got excellent R&D setup available. Now, even with the NAVIC thing, we have got solutions available. So very frankly speaking, indigenization may not be really a problem as we progress further. The problem will be to have a national roadmap, to create a national roadmap, to have a mapping of the requirement, and to put on the paper these many systems in these categories will be required, so that the industry also knows how much they have to invest in which field. So these things have to come up in open. So all the three services, all the R&D setup, the setup of the intelligentsia, they have to sit together, and organization like you or Drone Federation of India, they will have to take lead, and a national framework has to be established, and a paper has to come out, which will become Bible for the drone industry for the next 8 to 10 years. Nothing is impossible. It can be fully indigenized system also. And there should not be any problem in having technical tie-up with the friendly foreign countries. Japan is there, Taiwan is there, Korea is there, and they are providing. So wherever required, we can get the technology. There will not be a problem in getting the technology also. What is required to have a statement? A statement has to come out, which should be very, very clear.
So what we will do is, if you're okay, I mean, you have given very specific sequence. Suppose we put the indigenization into must do, should do, and could do in these three categories. I suppose you yourself, with General Chand, Sunil, we can put together that what is must do. And then with Dr. Vasudeva, we can then work towards clusterization of R&D to indigenize it. Does this sound okay as a roadmap, to work towards a roadmap?
Of course, sir. Sir, I would like to specially mention one thing. It is my opinion, sir, just came to my mind after your words addressing Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, sir. Sir, how about having a new SPV, special purpose venture, including PSU, private company, startups, or even foreign OEM to come under one flag? Means one new SPV is created at one specific place. They are coming with their area of expertise, like we are having company from Japan who is into battery, or who is bringing something disruptive technology in battery and hydrogen fuel also. Second is some private startups are coming with new thing in the area of sensors, opticals. PSU coming up with their experience on the aircraft manufacturing, taking the share in this SPV, and private companies are coming up with their part, like money, which matters a lot, with the finance, giving them the appropriate share. So how the user or the buyer from the military side, from the services side, will give preference to this SPV? In this case, if it is covering all the from mail, hail, those segments to the short, micro, nano drones, if they're catering all the requirement of the services, how will they go about it? Like earlier, the hall was given preference in every procurement, whether it's light combat aircraft, whether it is helicopters, and they have done the great job. How about this new SPV?
So, in fact, the way the armed forces and the Ministry of Defense has opened up to the private manufacturers and also to the MSMEs and startups, actually, it is a lot of enabling is being done. And whatever are the wish list of the industries are taking, we are taking note of, and they are getting fulfilled. So absolutely, if the SPV comes up, it will be a great boost to the industry and also to the armed forces, because ultimately we want solutions and we want indigenous solutions. So if indigenous solutions are available and they are available in good time, so it meets the requirement. We don't have to go shopping abroad.
If we can list out the SPVs that would complete the entire drone ecosystem, and list out priority-wise. The first SPV should be A, the second SPV should be B, and then we will put a timeline and dateline to it. And then we'll work towards creating a SPV. So we will put that in the report also.
And one more thing, sir, just a small question, like the difference between, because the core of this webinar and the discussion is China centric. It is not for our domestic discussion, our domestic industry. So getting back to the that part of the discussion, sir, I have seen one big difference between Chinese military and the Indian armed forces. That is the time frame from first flight to the induction. I hope you can you are understanding what I am about to say, sir. We had one aircraft being flown in X year and inducted in Y year. The difference between X and Y is so large. So it means that the test, trial, and certification process is quite lengthy in our services as compared to PLAF, People's Liberation Army Air Force. Because if something has taken first flight, sir, they are inducting it in the time-bound manner, and then they are going it for the mass production, not withstanding any IOC, FOC, initial operational clearance or FOC. First they induct and then they improve the quality over the time.
Sunil, you are talking about two things. One is the decision cycle by the stakeholder and a developmental cycle by the manufacturer or the R&D. These two cycles are both, I think, out of time. By the time the decision cycle puts down what they need, the adversary has slipped to the next level, and the developmental cycle will follow the old decision cycle. And by the developmental model completes its entire cycle, the decision cycle has gone to the next level. So I think we are between the developmental and the decision cycle. We are all playing a tease game. And I think such forums, we can actually tighten both of them together.
Next time, sir, I am inviting, actually, I wanted to invite someone from Hall, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. But because we decided this webinar in a short period, like 3-4 days, so they were not available. But for the next meeting, they have shown their availability. So this question will be asked to them, not to the service. I'm really, my apology to Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, sir.
Yeah. So, see, General Pannu has very clearly answered, and he has not told many things which is known. See, we cannot compare the decision cycle of China with India because we are a democracy. And we are a democracy, and we have elections, and we have a multi-party systems, and things have a different way of working. But in spite of that, the environment is enabling the private industry into defense military industrial complex establishment. And this is the time industry will have to take lead, and they will have to drive the government that these are more things required. And I'm very sure if the wish list is put up in a very logical fashion, it will be met. So things will be there. You are very, very correct. But China owns so many universities, PLAF owns universities, PLAF owns industries. So there is a different, altogether different culture. So we just can't compare that thing in our Indian democracy.
May I take liberty to say something just on this subject? This is Tarundeep Singh from Mangsang.
Sir, please go ahead.
Sir, actually, I view this from a totally, technical perspective, how China works and how India works. I have studied these developments not only in this sector, but in other sectors which I am related to. Actually, Chinese, okay, because of their government organizations or their setup, they are following the agile project management strategy. They do not, they have milestones, and they reach those milestones, and then they launch a product and they start building upon it. Whereas in our country, particularly in defense sector, we have a classical project management strategy, which we follow. We do not basically, have a launch period at a certain milestone, which is not the final milestone actually. So this is the basic difference that we have here in India. We want to launch a product when it is, very much at a higher level of technological advancement. Whereas in Chinese context, it does not happen like that. And that is why my question, there is one question I have on this. Is there any data that is available with us which has listed down the failure events we have seen in past few months in this war, in Ukraine war, failure of the drones? So this is one subject which I just wanted to touch upon, that if we have, this is a kind of a food for the industry also, which are the failure events which have taken place, because we generally come to know through the news only, but that is only the upper thing that we see. The thing which is actually at the bottom, the bottom of the iceberg, that is really not visible to us as common public. If that is available, the entrepreneurs and the industry here in India can work upon that as well, so that the failure mode of our systems is minimized and we are reaching our final destination of our milestones in a faster way.
Chain, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sure.
I'm sorry, sir. I joined the meeting a little late and I was just hearing you, sir. And Jain, sir, I'm Lieutenant Tripathi, sir. I am presently posted at PMO Suraj. And we have been monitoring two major wars, conflicts in front of us. One is Armenia-Azerbaijan war, and the second is the Ukraine war. So the genesis of basically drones being, in a very potent manner started with this Armenia-Azerbaijan war, wherein in just about 5 days, in terms of armored, 3 combat command worth of armored, which is almost around 900 tanks and BMPs were lost. Armenia lost territory which was as good as the site of, that is Nagorno-Karabakh. The size was that of Haryana. And the best of the air defense systems like S-300, the Panjshir system, they were all lost. However, Armenia used a system called Karushka, or called Pole 1, yeah, Pole 4 bolte hain sir usko. And this was the electronic warfare system. But by the time Armenians were actually able to bring this Karushka system to the battlefield, they had already lost. And the troops, I wanted to talk about the troops which are in trenches. So it's you have to convince the infantryman that he requires his anti-drone solution, because he feels that he's very safe in trenches. Is no longer the game. More than 900 troops, much more than what we lost in Kargil, Armenia lost in well-prepared dugout trenches in this particular war, which lasted just about 15 days. Primarily, they used the equipment used was Bayraktar TB2, and Bayraktar TB2. I will talk about Chinese drones also, sir, Winglung and all. But I would start a bit about Bayraktar TB2. Bayraktar TB2 comes with 4 micro munitions, which are basically bombs. Now, why is it that air defense missiles which are trained to knock down aircrafts were not able to knock it down? There were 2 reasons. Most of these drones, which have got, besides the stealth feature, they are able to reduce their speeds to almost 50 knots. Now, most of the radars that we have, the contemporary radars that we have got in our system, are designed for faster aircrafts, so that there are no clutters. So there's something called moving target indicators. So, your radars have to be modified. So what exactly happens in a radar is that you don't want a flock of birds or a cloud to come in your radar screen. So we increase the speed of target. And this is precisely the window that was taken advantage of by these drones. Winglung 2, which is a Chinese drone, flies at a pretty low speed. Low, slow, and the RCS, the electronic RCS of this particular drone is very, very small. So now in the threat also, you talk about drone warfare. Now, drone itself is a very loose terms. We'll talk about unmanned combat aerial vehicles. We talk about drones. We talk about your loitering munitions like switchblades. So now, please, we should understand the difference. When we talk about a UAV, unmanned, I would say unmanned combat aerial vehicle, this would generally operate around 22,000 feet. The way to tackle it would be the electronic warfare, means the way the Russians are doing as of now. They're using this equipment called Karushka and Pol-1. There's another equipment called Groza, and there's another equipment called Repellent. They are being used extensively in Russia. And let me tell you, the drone activities is absolutely zilch right now. The success that Ukrainian drone had during the phase 2 of the battle has actually been lost. Now, what is the challenge when we talk about unmanned combat aerial vehicle? What is the challenge before the industry is? There's something called uplink paradox. Most of the vendors that I interact with probably have got little idea कि ये uplink paradox क्या है. होता क्या है, sir? When we talk about a unmanned combat aerial vehicle or a UAV, the GCS uplink and downlink are totally in a different band. So a conventional drone jammer or a drone system, I don't know whether we have people from industry, a conventional drone jammer or drone system, spoofer system would have a RFT where it will find the line of bearing and it will get the frequency on which this pretty downstream is coming, and it will take that and it will do a jamming sweep of 100 megahertz sweep karta hai wo. And 90% in case of a small drone you will hit it. But when it comes to a UAV like a Bayraktar or a wing loom, you will not be able to hit it because these two are in total separate bands. The uplink to the bird is probably in L band or UHF, and the downlink is totally different band. So the reason is that you need to find where that uplink. For finding the uplink, either you have a system like Karushka or Pol-1, or you have another system called airborne ESM system. That means you send a bird up and that will be able to tell you with the lobes कि भैया उसका uplink क्या है. You get the damn uplink, you will know the location of the GCS. What Russians have been doing is not only they find the location of the GCS, they knock it down with long range vectors like RT. I don't require, or you give the uplink frequency to the jammer, a strong jammer like Karushka, and Karushka will do the rest. The present electronic warfare systems are so good that they've got high ranges of almost around 270-200 kilometers. Even the aircrafts which are flying these air to surface missiles, these missiles are all GPS guided. So these missiles are also, if you have a good drone spoofer, these missiles can also be misguided. And Russia has had phenomenal success. Do you actually, if you see, I've been following this, I'll tell you, I am part of a Telegram group because in this, aapko jo social media mein or wherever you get the news primarily from the Western perspective. They will not show you the success of the Russians. So there's a Telegram group. I can give you the link. I joined it, but you have to understand Russian a bit about it. So they will tell you what are the ways they have gone about, and they're knocking out drones like anything. They did. The Russians have lost almost, if I'm not wrong, almost 2,300 odd tanks when they were not able to, when they were not successful against this Bayraktar TB2. 4 lots of Bayraktars were ordered by Ukraine. So my recommendation for the industry is to maybe look at, already there are success stories. Russia is so-called our good partner, and maybe with companies like Rosoborn Export or Groza, if you have some kind of partnership and you can develop the same Make in India mission, I think you will find a tangible solution, because Russians are doing it. West is yet to catch up when it comes to anti-drone warfare. I believe this topic is about anti-drone warfare only.
Yes, Colonel Tripathi, this is about the drone warfare. Like the focus was on Chinese drone capability in their military service. So you have mentioned Winglong 1, 2, there are CH series from Chengdu. So they have a huge fleet, and in drone warfare, it is more about, with technical, it is more about tactics also. And you rightly mentioned that in Russia-Ukraine war, Ukrainians have taken the Russian by surprise with their initially in the initial phase of the operation. They took the Russian by surprise, but Russian took that shock and they bounced back. with the electronic warfare capability which they have. And now the Bayraktar and all the Turkish drones are falling like dry leaf. And recently the report has come that Ukrainian had lost all the fleet of TB2. Now they are requesting Turkey to supply more drones, which Turkey has denied. So it is all about the tactics and the innovation in at the battlefield, that how you utilize it against any adversary, whether it's a drone or unmanned system or any manned system. So really, it is eye-opening for us that apart from drone technology, we should also invest heavily on anti-drone system with electronic countermeasures.
No, there's another thought that I just would want to share. We are actually having three-pronged challenges when it comes to India. So I mentioned about unmanned combat aerial vehicles. I would talk about these. There are a lot of drone activities that is right now happening in our western border, and we are knocking quite a lot of them. आप लोग news में सुनते होंगे, some drone has been called. Now, then there is something called loitering munition. When you talk about loitering munition, means short ranges. I'm sure everybody is aware.
Yes.
Higher the frequency, ranges are less, but data refreshment is faster. So your drone will maneuver faster. आप उसको उतनी कमांड बाएं दाएं की देंगे. So that is why most of these switchblades, they operate at frequencies of maybe 2 to 3 or 4 gigahertz or more. So when we talk about Pakistan, right now what they're sending it for those dropping of these AK-47s or narcotics, they are using something called RFDX 900. RFDX 9X, I'm sure you guys can Google it, sir. So RFDX 900 is basically a two-way telemetry. And I don't know, is Idea Force here?
Actually, this was decided just 2-3 days back.
All right.
And they will be joining in the next section next month. And we would also invite you so that you can contribute your part.
So most of these Pakis drones that we are being knocking, mostly we are actually spoofing them right now. They are actually basically the airframe is from Idea Force. Airframe is from Idea Force. And the आपका जो telemetry set है, that is RFDX 900, जो कि आपका UK में मिलता है. There's a company called Ali Brothers in Pakistan. They are importing it.
Yes.
Battery वगैरह Chinese है उनका. So, but we have good success with that. But they are basically expendable. ये मतलब एक आप कहीं भी contrast, you can make it. It's very easy to make this particular drone. But when we talk about loitering munition, you have to actually target a very high frequency, highly maneuverable drone.
Colonel Tripathi, a new thing has come. I would like to share this thing with you, specifically in the case of loitering munition. If it is guided by some other platform, then we can hit it with the electronic warfare capability. But when it is a standalone system with using INS and GPS, then sometimes it has become difficult to counter them. For example, the Mark II of Shahid drone, which is being supplied to Russia by Iran. They are having this capability. They need not to be controlled. They are pre-planned standalone system.
So even sir, I would beg to differ. Even the Pakistan is sending us almost these drones are coming on a pre-planned route. So there's another basic difference you must understand, sir. When you have an inertial guidance system, it is not accurate. You have to have a GPS guidance system. When you talk about an inertially guided missile, the CEP is 750 meters, almost a kilometer left and right. So it's very easy. No, we have an inertial guidance system. We'll be able to, the technology cannot change. You have a GPS guided system and you have drone spoofers right now we have with us, and the technology is there to tackle with them. If they actually modulate, encrypt or something, we can see about it later. But right now the challenges in counter drone system, definitely we need to do far more that we have done in the aspect of electronic warfare. And we really don't have to look far. We have a so-called friend, Russia, and matlab industry should really look into it, have tie-ups, what they did. There's a system called Coral. The system is being used by Turkey. Now, when you talk about drone warfare, Turkey uses this electronic warfare Coral along with Bayraktar TB2. That means whenever I'm trying to jam a drone, there is a Coral which will try to find the location of my jammer, and that Coral will try to take those anti-EW measures, ECCM. So Turkey has been successfully using Coral along with Bayraktar TB2. So it's not कि आपने एक Bayraktar एक drone launch कर दिया लड़ाई खत्म हो गई. They have EW systems to take on this. So मतलब it is just a recommendation. A good counter drone system or an anti-UAV system right now who has been tried, tested in a battlefield is existing in Russia. But let's see how we can get it here.
So much thanks to you for suggesting to have a collaboration or a kind of interaction with Russian counterparts or companies. But my experience with Russian companies has been a little bit very difficult. In fact, Russians are not very open in sharing their technologies or know-hows. And I have experienced that when I was working for ISRO in Sriharikota. And I had a very difficult time with them.
Sir, I understand what you're saying, sir. Sir, you're absolutely right. जब भी हम Rosobon export से पहले हम contracts करते थे, they would try to bully us.
Yes.
They would say, मैं इसका PDI नहीं कराऊंगा. My contract will start movement. The damn thing is on the ship. But sir, the dynamic has changed. Today Russia is isolated. So that dynamics has changed after Russia-Ukraine war. It is all alone. And Russia ki situation, and we should take advantage of it.
Yes.
Present dynamics is not jab aap ISRO mein the. In fact, 3-4 years back when this war was not there, Russia was. Today the amount of sanctions which is there on Russia, it will be more than happy. Anything that churns its economy, it will come running. This is, I haven't experienced it, but sir, I think it is worth a try to look at it. Usse baat hi, there's nobody talking to him. So it's maybe a good attempt, maybe to speak to those guys, try to get something.
Rightly said, sir. Even I had some experience with the Rosenboro, Rostec also, now Rostec. That giving you an example, though it's not part of our discussion today, when they came up with the idea of Indo-Russian Rifle Private Limited with the indigenization and transfer of technology. Sir, we are making a rifle, not making any cryogenic engine. There is no technology need. You just give us the paper and we will indigenize it ourselves. But it took us 3 years to convince them that how it will be done. Now, in last month, I think they have got agree. I left that organization and joined NADDSO. I think they have agreed, and now they are ready to give the 100, not 100%, but 75% indigenization in that particular project. Rightly said by Colonel Tripathi that it depends on time, that it can change anyone's mindset, not just individual but country also. Now they will come.
Sir, as a country, sir, we should take advantage right now. यही मौका है, उससे जो technology निकाल सकते हैं. This is the time when we can take oil from them at cheap. We can take anything. I don't know if the voice is heard somewhere, sir. You are the industry.
No, everybody is here. Even the from the office of principal scientific advisor is here and he is listening you. And I'm amazed that a person in uniform is so much nationalistic that in a webinar he is giving us so good points. The views are taken, Colonel Tripathi, and we will convey this to the whole industry, not just to drone but to other also, defense and aerospace.
Sir,
and I would request General Pannu his views on Colonel Tripathi's point.
Firstly, very happy that Colonel Tripathi he gave out his identity from where he's speaking. Very interesting points, and I completely agree with him. Whenever we study a problem, whether you talk about one country fighting another country and then other country fighting another country at different places, lessons learned have to be actually translated into our own modules of what we need to do in our own home country. We need to develop our own doctrines and strategies to our own conditions of warfare and how we would want to do. Rather than being reactive, we have to be proactive. As far as counter-drone technology is concerned, in a manner of battle fighting, yes, you have to be reactive because you have to kill what is being thrown at you. But what in the prolonged, protracted warfare, you find that a lot of hoax of technology is thrown in the first echelon and let the opponent exhaust all it has to take care of the first challenge thrown. And then you throw the second challenge, and then you throw the third challenge, and then you have your short developmental cycles and short decision cycles to upload more and more technologies. And at the end of it, it is like a tennis match. If every time you can throw a ball which is better than the first one you did, you do it differently with a different spin and different way to do it, I think at the end of it, the opponent is not also very good at innovating and responding to the newer version of threats. That is the side which is going to win or lose, who has a stamina to innovate while hitting the ground, or as the battle runs. What is important here is that we should safeguard ourselves from taking technology from different people, different origins. At the end of it, we should not face a technological clutter and a jam. Because what will happen is that something has come from somewhere, another thing has come from another place. At the end of it, you find one system not cooperating with the other because all this got to be networked. And I think when you're fighting a UAV or a drone warfare, it is a larger system of autonomous warfare. And autonomous warfare has got to be controlled in the entire network of decision. And that is where all the integrity of indigenization of your own supply chains, your own technology, your own systems, which you privately own by the private company and the R&D and the public-private partnership of R&D and the industry coming in to serve their own defense. But I suppose it is a good discussion. Such discussions will not take us to the manufacturing table the next day. These are good things which we would put together, put down in the right sequence and see how it contributes to the roadmap. But I must say, Colonel Tripathi, really well done that you brought these points. And all these points are extremely important and valuable. They will be taken into a sequence of what best can be the overall outcome of giving a direction. I see Toby from Synergia there. He had something important, but very important because Synergia looks at the synergizing the niche technologies for country at Bangalore. And if we have no other point is there, I suppose I would also look at Toby to contribute his thoughts towards how we can build our own indigenous technology into the automotive warfare or even otherwise dual use application of the field that we are talking about into the aerial platforms, and not so much aerial as General Lavchand is saying. These are actually robotics which can be used for flying or otherwise. So I suppose all in all, we have done well. We started with the Chinese way of doing things, including what systems they've made. And from there, we will draw a reference point of what we as a country and as friendly foreign countries supporting us together, because tomorrow, if we have to go into scales, I suppose these countries would look at the Indian manufacturing capacities, because we have the huge amount of ecosystem here which we can develop and actually go to higher scales. So these friendly foreign countries can also rely on Indian scale of manufacturing, and then collaboratively we can have our own ecosystem which is friendly, conducive, and also trustworthy. Sunil, is there anything else that we need to do, or
no, sir? We are inviting Mr. Toby Simon.
Hey, Sunil, just in continuation of what Colonel Suresh said, right? I mean, there's just a food for thought. All the drone manufacturers will have to face the anti-drone systems, right? So in the EW parlance, the specifications of your EW capability, that is a counter-drone capability, must be known so that you can have a system, especially in the military domain, which can outsmart them. Like I have also been in the EW field. So what we should do is that we should know the capability of the EW drone, anti-drone systems, so that the countermeasures can be inbuilt. Like one of them, he already said that the two uplink and downlink are on two separate, or the data and control links on two separate bands itself, right? But now, since that is known, so you can always have a counter drone system which can cater for two bands. It's not so difficult, right? So that is where if we have that, so we have a system which protects our drones from anti-drone systems. So just that as a thought, we must take what he said, because he gave a very detailed presentation. He's an expert in that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I would invite Mr. Toby Simon, I would have to mention that Panu sir has rightly mentioned about network-centric warfare against platform-centric warfare. And there should be a discussion about this, and I am placing it for the next webinar, next month. I would welcome Mr. Toby Simon to give his views on the respective topic. We have waited for you, sir.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Sunil, for inviting me. Thank you, General Pannu, and all the distinguished participants and speakers. I just have a couple of points to make. For me, technology and what we seek as an output of technology is only an enabler. It is not an end case by itself. The larger challenge for companies and organizations is to cipher what is the conflict going to be for which we are going to develop. Now, if you allow drone companies or any manufacturer, be it drone, be it any other kinetic machine you are trying to develop, if you allow them to do things on their own, based on a requirement that is given by an old established organization. Let me take, for example, let's say an ISRO. And most of the things that are coming out of an ISRO stable would be things that was designed as a requirement 5 years back. And combat and warfare is changing so fast. So I feel that the first most important thing is for us to look at what's this future of combat going to come, and not to leave that with manufacturers. So in this whole thinking, ideating process, we should also help them to look so that whatever they are developing is relevant. Second, it will have scale. So when we discuss with a lot of manufacturers in India that have come out with cutting edge technology, what we find is they don't have scale. And India alone cannot provide scale. We have to look at how do we combine. For combining, we have to be able to tell the countries that we are partnering why they should take it. So we have to do the sort of design and study and what is their challenges going to be if we are able to entice them to come and work with us. So this is one of the first things I just wanted to share. And the second thing is the need to look at many emerging and advanced technologies, not in silos. We sometimes think things in silo. For example, General Pannu mentioned in the beginning about quantum. Okay, how organizations around the world are using multiple technologies, teaming it to see that they have a more resilient architecture. So today, there is a strategy that goes in military that is being touted in many places, that the strategy is that you are going to be hit. Okay, and you are going to hit the other guy. So now, once you are hit, how are you going to recoup yourself? Then it goes into this battle of attrition. You hit him, I hit him back. You hit him, how many times can he take it? So especially in this net electronic, it is going to be a strategy that people are going to use. Okay, I'm going to have a problem with this country. I know he's going to take me 2 times, but he's not ready to take me for the 3rd time. So you got to also ensure that what we are building is resilient to hits, because if we are going to be hit, and that is going to be the name of the game. So I think I just wanted to make 2 small points, and perhaps when I listen further, I will be able to share maybe another 2 more points. Thank you very much.
Your views, those were valuable, and we want to have a separate meeting with you, with your forum, and we want to plan something strategically. So this thing cannot be done in just one webinar. I hope you can understand.
Surely, surely.
Your words are taken, sir, and we will draft a letter for you so that you can go through what we are planning to do in India.
Yeah.
And again, your advices will be a value addition and a force multiplier in that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. May I request Jana Panu and Jana Chand, sir, so that we are running short of time. I am getting requests from everybody that it was a very good session, and they're desperately waiting for the next session next month. So we will conclude this all webinar and discussion with one statement. So may I go with that, sir, which I have prepared? At last, gentlemen, we have identified this threat, and now it is our collective responsibility to counter it with our effective capability. Sir, as a China is a bigger military now, only one country cannot confront them at their own. But if we all come together, we all means all the neighboring country or all the friendly countries like Japan, Vietnam, and Philippines, then we can do something, we can form a partnership and do something for the good. And in domestic industry, we have very good names like Rafe, Zen, who have already done a lot of works on drones and anti-drones. I would request them to scale up their R&D and production capability. And then we have Jindal and NECCO, who are already doing something in defense and aerospace. I would request them to have one dedicated vertical for unmanned systems. And we have very innovative companies like Delta Combat Systems and Pushpak Aerospace to be a great value addition in this segment. Other representatives would also be requested to come up with their ideas and solution and contribute in national security and national interest. So here I would submit my views. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining today, and Jai Hind. Aarti, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to all the dignitaries. Thank you, gentlemen, who are joining this and give their valuable thoughts over this, and all the listeners also who patiently listen to us. So thank you so much. And I guess we are concluding this webinar now. Sir, if anyone, if Panu sir want to say something or Chancellor will want to say something, please, sir, you can also conclude that.
Janu Chand, do you have anything?
No, thank you so much. It was educative both ways. I think we just good information sharing. Thank you.
The only statement that I'd like to make here is for those who have contributed to the current procurement, which is going on, emergency procurement. I think this has got a short shelf life. It is being used for whatever purposes initially and to counter for initial threats. But I think the actual main developmental cycle will have to start now with the entire process, which is more sustainable. We will have to have the maintenance scales, we have to have the sustenance ecosystems, spares, AMCs, all that worked out, and a larger ecosystem with compatibility is a guarantee. You cannot bring a system which is a standalone system, which is not going to be compatible with the system. So over a period of time, the actual deployment which will happen for as a mainstay is the one which is going to be standardized, which is going to be scaled, which is going to be processed as the testing standardization has come up, as Dr. Vasudeva was saying. And I suppose we all need to prepare for that, and therefore collaboration is extremely important. The defense attaches who are there, I suppose NADDSO looking at signing the collaborative arrangements in whichever way, so that it is not one company which is only troubling them and second company troubling them for something else. I think largely we can have the entire stack of collaboration at NADDSO. And then from there, we can work out together who can give the most and who has something which is available and willing partner in sharing that technology and information. So I suppose the large amount of knowledge would come and rest at NADDSO. From there, the members can keep picking it up. And we continue to have such debates. And thank you, Sunil. I think it was a very good beginning. And I suppose every month, what we do, we churn out a report. And we're really looking forward to this report. Thank you.
Surely, sir, we will have this kind of informative webinar once in every month, along with other events also, which we are planning. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Yeah.